Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video and to another tier list here on the channel. Today, this is one I'm very excited to do, one I've wanted to do for quite a while. Today, I am going to be ranking the worst Cars diecasts ever made as chosen by you guys. On my channel, I usually try to stay pretty positive with my reviews. If there's something I don't like, of course, I'll bring it up and I'll talk about it. But there really aren't all that many Cars diecasts that I don't like. I'm not really all that opinionated when it comes to cars I don't like. There are ones that I think could look better, but at the end of the day, every car I get, I'm glad to have as part of my collection. So that's why I reached out to you guys and asked all of you for what cars you thought were the worst cars ever made. Since I don't really have much of an opinion on the matter, I asked you guys and I got a lot of interesting answers. I compiled a bunch of those answers, and now I'm going to be making a tier list of those cars. So, the way this tier list is going to work is the way a normal tier list works. S tier here is for the best cars out of the worst ones selected here, and F is for the worst of the worst. I think this is going to be pretty interesting. Now, if I put a car in S tier, that doesn't mean it's the best car ever made, that just means it's the best out of the worst here, if that makes sense. On a traditional tier list, S would be like the best one ever, you know? But here, it's the best of the worst. You know, S tier on this tier list is probably like D tier if I were to rank every car ever, if that makes sense. Anyway, though, we have a little over 20 cars to rank today. Most of these were comments you guys left, but I also added some other ones that were either my own opinion or ones that I've just seen around online that people don't like. Anyway, let's get started here with Holly Shiftwell with wings. We need to talk about Holly with wings here. Quite a few of these cars are on this tier list because they are very inaccurate. Now, I got a lot of comments from people saying, oh, it's Sally with tattoo when she didn't have her tattoo, or Van with sticker when he didn't have his sticker. That was like a one-time issue with those cars that was fixed either in a prior release or a release after, so I decided not to include them on the tier list. Van with stickers at least had the bumper sticker at one point in his release history, same with Sally with tattoo, even if her most recent release didn't have the tattoo. Holly Shiftwell with wings and the other cars on this list you'll see are ones that are just completely flawed design-wise when it comes to cars that are inaccurate. There are a few cars on the list that are inaccurate and got fixed, but Holly with wings here, unfortunately, is not one of them. Holly with wings is iconic. It's a pretty cool design from Cars 2. It's somehow only ever been released once, and when it was super inaccurate, because in the actual movie, Holly has a back fin as well, which is completely absent from the diecast. Her expression isn't all that different from her normal one, although it is a little different, which is a nice touch. It's good on them for changing the expression at least a little. But the fact that Holly's back spoiler isn't here just really takes away from how the car looks, in my opinion. And the fact that Holly's color isn't all that accurate adds to that. Holly's color is something that Mattel has really struggled with. It was pretty inaccurate up until Holly with electroshock device in 2016, which was a pretty good change for the color. Then in 2020, they really messed it up. And now in 2022, the most recent Holly re-release in a online exclusive 5-pack has what I'd say is probably the most accurate color. This, I never really had a problem with Holly's original color, which is what this diecast has. My main problem with it is the lack of a spoiler. But, the fact that she's the wrong color isn't doing her any favors. I think I'm going to put her in C tier. Either C tier or D tier. Because she just looks kind of boring. It just looks like a normal Holly with wings coming out of the bottom, which is unfortunate because it really should look cooler. I think she's going to go in D tier. Not a good start. Up next, Mater with lightning bolt hat. I like this car. Okay? I love Mater variants, and this one got a lot of hate when it came out. This was our first Mater with hat, and I think it's easily the best Mater with hat. It's also, like, the only Mater with a hat where the hat is accurate to one that he wore in the movie. Yeah, the fan favorites one is pretty close to one he wore in the movie, but the size of that's inaccurate. And the other ones, of the other two Maters with hats, One, the 95 and 51 hat variant, didn't even appear in the movie, and the other he put on the little friend that he made for himself, that he made out of junk. He never wore that hat. Mater with Lightning Bolt hat did appear in the movie, and he comes from a strange time in the Cars Diecast line where they were really trying to fix Mater. This guy is almost spot on to his Precision Series variant, similar to the 2018 Sally. This guy is also from 2018. I really like the effort on making this Mater look better. He has a much better looking tow hook than almost any other standard Mater diecast. Like, the tow hook on this, which you can't see in this picture, looks great. The Lightning Bolt hat is huge, but it's appropriately huge. It's movie accurate. The reason why people don't like this car is because he was the exclusive in an 11 pack. I remember him being quite controversial because of that. I got this 11 pack because I liked this Mater and there were other cars in the pack that I didn't have. Again, I'm a huge fan of Mater variants, so I thought he was pretty good and I really liked the effort on him. I shouldn't have put him second on the tier list because this is hard. He might have to go into S tier. I'm sorry if I'm upsetting anyone, but I hope my reason here is justified. I think the hate for this Mater comes out of the fact that he was exclusive to an 11 pack when people wanted like a racer to be exclusive to an 11 pack. But if a racer were exclusive to an 11 pack, then people would probably be complaining that the racer was locked behind a $40 paywall. It's a lose-lose scenario. If you didn't like the Mater, he was the only exclusive car in the pack. You didn't have to buy the pack. You know. I think he's really an exceptional Mater in terms of detail, and he's one a lot of people overlook. I'm sorry, guys. I think he's got to go in S tier. I think he's probably one of the best of the cars here, because he really is a far more detailed than usual Mater. He's huge. He could not have been a deluxe, so putting him in a multi-pack I think was appropriate. And everyone just clicked off the video because of that. Mater with duct tape is a car who's... Wow, that image is huge. He's a car that's perfectly fine, that wouldn't get as much hate as it did if it weren't a super chase. A lot of people who commented Mater with duct tape when I asked this mention that if he weren't a super chase, people really wouldn't think twice about him. And yeah, that's true. He's one of 3 super chases here on this tier list, all of which are character variants that didn't really change all that much. As far as this car goes, he's once again a perfectly competently made Mater. There's nothing all that wrong with him. It's just the fact that he's a super chase. As somebody who owns this Mater, I think he's perfectly fine, but the problem with him is there's nothing too special about him compared to other versions of Mater. He's just a Mater with duct tape on him. That super chase label means that he should have probably been something a bit cooler. As far as super chases go, he's pretty lame, but as far as normal releases go, there isn't really anything that makes him bad, I don't think. It's just the fact that he was a super chase, so I'm going to put him in A for being a completely normal diecast. He's pretty good. He's not a bad diecast. The problem is that he was a super chase, which annoyed people, and I completely understand that. Up next, we have 2 for 1 with Sandy, Rusty's Racing Center McQueen, and Sandy Cruz. I only saw one comment for these two, but fair point. These two are pretty lame, honestly. The sand detailing compared to the Fireball Beach Racers, who were released only a year later, the sand detailing on those guys is so much more accurate. I know a lot of people don't really like the Beach Racers. I didn't include them on the tier list because they're all so similar. I don't really mind them, but with the Beach Racers, at the very least, the sand detailing looked realistic, and they had that really nice overspray effect on them, which made them look really good. These two are just McQueen and Cruz with tan on them. And I don't know. I really don't know what to say for these. I think they're just so, like, generic. I think I'm going to put them both in C tier. I think that's an appropriate place for them. Up next, Trainer Cruz, one that got a lot of hate. Here's the thing. My mentality with variants is that any character variant is valid, in my opinion. Like, as long as it was in the movies, I'm okay with it getting a release. There are a lot of variants that are super minor, and I love them. Cupcake McQueen is awesome. The Muddy Rusty's Racing Center McQueen, love that diecast. There are so many minor character variants that I think are so great. And Trainer Cruz is one that I felt we really needed. Cruz spends a lot of time in Cars 3 with the headset on. That's her job. She's a trainer. And I think the reason why people don't like this diecast, it boils down to two reasons. Number one, they didn't change her expression. It's the same face as the normal Cruz, and the headset is a pretty minor change. So, if they change her expression, it probably would have gone over better, I think. Which is something you'll hear me say quite a bit in this video. The other reason why I don't think people like it is because of the way she was packaged. At the time when she was first released in 2020, the way she was facing in the bubble didn't even show you the headset, and her artwork didn't feature the headset. So until people got it in hand, most people didn't even realize this Cruz had a headset on it until we saw pictures of it out of the box, which was pretty annoying. Trainer Cruz is, I think, a necessary variant. One that could have been better, but I think she's perfectly fine. It's another one that I understand, like, the hate behind, but I don't really think it's fully warranted. It's boring, definitely, but I think it's necessary. I think it's going to go in B. That might be a bit too high, but I think it's going to go in B. Tara McQueen. Hard to find a good picture of this guy online, so I took this one from the World of Cars French database. Great website, by the way. Tara McQueen is... Remember when I was just saying how every variant is valid in my opinion? It's going to be hard to make a case for Tara McQueen. But much like Cruz with headset, Tara McQueen is in the Cars movie, the first one, for a very long time. I'd say almost the majority of the movie, McQueen has this little dot of tar on him. Was it a necessary diecast? Not really, but it makes sense because he was in the movie for a very long time. Honestly, in my opinion, it's no different than, say, Piston Cup champion Jackson Storm, which is a very minor change that a lot of people want as a diecast. This is Tara McQueen, who, yeah, he's definitely a lot less... he's a lot closer to normal McQueen than Champion Jackson is to normal Jackson. But still, it's just the case of a minor variant. I feel like a lot of people would be asking for a Tara McQueen if we'd never gotten him. Then again, so many other McQueens have the tar on him that this one is kind of pointless. And the worst offense of this McQueen is the fact that he has the regular McQueen expression. If this guy had a different expression like the later release Road Repair McQueen from 2015, who's basically a Tar McQueen with additional dirt detailing and a new face, then I think people would really like him, or like him a bit more. But this was before they really did different faces for diecast variants, so this McQueen ends up looking pretty lame and lazy. He should look annoyed. He has the tar on him. His packaging had a different artwork for him where he looked really annoyed. That would have been nice. But no, same old McQueen smile. The fact that this guy was sold as a single is insane to me. This was a single. You could buy this separately from normal McQueen. That should be a crime. I don't know how I would have liked him to have been re-released. Maybe in a 2-pack instead of as a single. I just can't believe this was sold as a single at one point, at the same time as a normal McQueen. He should have been in a 2-pack or a multi-pack instead. I would not buy this back in the day if it were a single. I got him recently. I didn't have this McQueen for the longest time. I got him in 2020 for Christmas in the Radiator Springs Cleanup 5-pack. Again, like Cruz, he's a necessary variant, but I think he's worse than Trainer Cruz. We'll go and see. Carlo Veloso with flames. Yes! This one is terrible, okay? Nigel Gearsley with flames is one of my favorite Nigel Gearsley variants. I think he's so cool. You got the flames shooting out the sides, and he's got this grimacing expression, because the guy just got shot with the lemon camera, right? Carla, on the other hand, for whatever reason, has the exact same face as her normal variant. Whose idea was that? And have they been fired from Mattel for this idea yet? Maybe that was a bit too harsh. But Carla should be emoting. Why is she so calm here? Carla just got shot. There are flames shooting out of her back. And this is her face. This is her face. It's the same as normal Carla. Why? Why? When it was re-released in 2020, they didn't bother to change the face when they had a great opportunity to. Also, compared to normal Nigel, or sorry, not normal Nigel, Nigel with flames. Carla's flames look so much worse in my opinion, so much less realistic. Yeah, they're coming out of a different part of the car, but they look so much less realistic than Nigel's flames. And when I look, I'm right in front of my shelf right now, looking at where I have my World Grand Prix racers. I only have two versions of Carla. Carla and Carla with flames. Looking at them straight on, just at their fronts, I can't tell the difference between the two of them. I cannot tell. I can barely see that Carla has flames behind her. They just look like the exact same car. If you're just walking by my shelf, you're not even going to notice that one of the Carlas has flames shooting out of her back. You're just going to think I have two of this car. This one is just lazy. Okay. You know what? You know what? She gets E tier. She gets E tier. Not a fan of how the flames look. Not a fan of the expression not looking okay. She should be like disturbed. She just got shot with the lemon camera. Moving on to another car that I really don't like. This is the original Cars 3 Ponchi. In my opinion, he's just one of the worst looking diecasts, I think. Okay, the corrected Ponchi released a few years later is a really good looking car, but this original Ponchi bothers me to no end with his black eyelids. They just look so out of place, and I don't know why it happened. Now, granted, Cam Spinner has an accurate black eyelids as well on his normal variant and his Fireball Beach Racer variant, but I think he looks okay. Honestly, I don't think it looks that bad. You don't see much of his eyebrows, and I think it kind of works with the rest of his diecast. But Ponchi, the black eyes just stand out. They just completely stand out, the black eyelids. He has his upper eyelids and his lower eyelids, so you're seeing a lot of eyelid here. And it just looks so bad in my opinion. And I'm so glad that it got fixed. I have no idea how this happened. His prototype picture doesn't have that error. I don't know how this happened. I'm so glad it got fixed, but the eyes on Ponchi here completely ruin the diecast for me. This guy's going in F tier, okay? And I wouldn't even consider for a second putting the corrected Ponchi on this worst diecast list. It's just those eyelids are so distracting that they really ruin it for me. Original Sally. I do not like Original Sally. I think she's got a really bad expression. It barely looks like the character. I think every other Sally ever made after this original one has been better. Every single one. Her mold is very inaccurate. And even the other ones that use that inaccurate mold, at least they have better expressions than this. There's just something so dead with Sally's stare. There's something so off. The eyes look nothing like her eyes. She's got a really weird, like, molded mouth going on that's, like, weirdly deep. Like, it's a strange looking mouth. She has, like, dimples molded in, which is kind of impressive, but, like, it's not a good looking Sally. It really isn't. And the fact that she got a corrected mold in 2018, which looks great, and they keep on using this one instead for whatever reason, just makes me like her even less. I've been asked in the past, what's your least favorite diecast? And honestly, Original Sally is probably one of my least favorite ones ever. With how many better Sallys we've gotten over the years, it's just made me like this one less and less, and I don't know if I should put her in E or F. There, she's an F tier. Okay. Alright. Next. Marty Holler! Yes! Okay. A lot of people got mad at me when I said I didn't care for Marty Holler in one of my shopping videos. Here's the thing with Marty Holler. I don't like Marty Holler. I'm not much of a Holler person. I don't buy, like, every Holler. I don't have Wally Holler. But there's a reason why I don't like Marty Holler. And that's because he's a next-gen Walmart Holler. That makes no sense. Wally Holler makes sense. He looks just like real-world Walmart delivery trucks. For those of you who don't know, the next-gens in cars look nothing like real-world racers, even to this day. They were made using designs of what racers could look like potentially in the future. The next-gen haulers also are not a thing that exists in real life. you're not going to see a delivery truck that looks like this. If you see a Walmart truck, you're going to see one that looks like Wally Hauler, not Marty Hauler here. Now, I love his name. The fact that the first Walmart hauler is named Wally and this one is named Marty, I think that's pretty good. I think that's really funny. But this is a next-gen delivery truck. What's the deal with that? That's so pointless. It's so pointless. He even comes with the little cardboard crates that they pack in with Wally. He has little, like, paper cardstock Rusty's crates that go in his back, which I didn't know until today, until I researched it for this video, because I don't have Marty Hauler, just because, again, I don't really buy haulers all that often. I was going to say originally in this video that I think this racer would really work if there were a Walmart Next Gen to go alongside it. I don't think anyone would have complained if they made a Walmart Next Gen. You know, a lot of people said they didn't like Marty. I didn't really see any comments about people not liking Wally. I saw one or two, but definitely more about Marty. And I think it's because Wally is based off of an actual real world, like it's what an actual Walmart hauler looks like. Also, he was in that old commercial. So he actually appeared. Marty Hauler, on the other hand, I think is just kind of pointless. Next gen Walmart hauler, kind of a dumb concept. He's not a bad-looking diecast. He really isn't. Once again, he is a very competently made one, and he's a pretty good-looking one. But I just think it's so pointless. I can't rank him that low, though. Because, really, I just think the concept is kind of stupid. I'm going to put him... Like, he's a good-looking hauler. He really is. Let's put him in B. Let's put him in B. He's not bad. He isn't bad. Joe Don Jackson. That's another huge image. Should have checked the size of these images when I saved them. Joe Don Jackson is one I put on this list. He's just a car I didn't like. I don't know why. There's just something about him that I just don't like. I just don't think he works in terms of design. I don't really know what to say. He's just a rare case where I got a car and just didn't like what he looked like. This is one I put on because of my own personal opinion. I just really don't like Joe Don Jackson. He goes in D tier. D for Don Jackson. I don't know. I can't pinpoint what I don't like about him. I think it's the shaping and the color scheme and everything. The other car of his model, Jimmy Lugwrench, I think he looks great. But Joe Don Jackson, I just don't like him for whatever reason. Chief RPM is another perfectly fine looking car until you realize what he looked like in the movie, where he was a car painted white who looked far more similar to Chuck Manifold than he did to whatever this is. This is not what Chief RPM is supposed to look like. This looks nothing like him in the movie at all. It doesn't even look like the artwork, where for whatever reason, the artwork changed him to look like the version from the movie, but they colored him to yellow. Again, in the movie, Chief RPM is painted white. That's something we're probably never going to see fixed, unfortunately. And Chief RPM here, again, he's a perfectly fine-looking car, but the inaccuracy, I'll put him in C tier. I don't know. He shouldn't look like that. Small Fred. Small Fred. This is from a Take 5 a Day article from when, I believe, Small Fred was first released, where they were comparing him to the original Fred. I don't own Small Fred. I only own the original bigger Fred. And I personally never had a problem with the original Fred. Maybe he's a little too big, but I feel like this Fred is too small now. He is like way too small. You'll see some, I'll put up some images now for a comparison between the two of them that Take 5 a Day did. Small Fred is probably a little more accurate in size, but I think he's just too small. And the amount of people who said Small Fred when I asked for worst cars, Small Fred was easily one of the most frequently appearing answers I saw. I don't know where to rank him, though. The original one is a bit too big. This one is a bit too small. He's not bad. He looks fine. He's just too small. He goes in C. Dirt Track McQueen. He's fine. Dirt Track McQueen is iconic, okay? He's one of the first cars I got. I'm not going to let nostalgia alter my opinion, though, because he's... I don't know. I never really thought much about him. I've had people say he didn't look nearly as dirty in the movie, which, yeah. But, like... Here... I don't really know. I don't think I could rank this one too negatively, because he's just a McQueen with dirt on him. Maybe it's a little too much dirt, but I don't think they were really striving for accuracy. They wanted a dirty McQueen, because McQueen has dirt on him when he's racing on the dirt track. It's not the most accurate thing to the amount of dirt on him in the movie. Maybe the dirt is a bit too prevalent, but like, I don't know. I think he looks better than the Rusty's Racing Center Sandy McQueen. The matte paint job adds to the dirtiness, although the matte paint feels uncomfortable, it makes it more accurate. The fact that his mouth isn't colored in really bothers me, but I don't know. I can't rank this guy too low on the list. I guess we'll put him in B tier. Up next, our next super chase, Cruz Ramirez as Crazy 8 Francis Beltline. This is one of the most annoying super chases of all time. It's literally just Francis Beltline Cruz, but with the mud covered up. Because in the movie, when they're in the Demolition Derby, Cruz covers up the Rust-eze logo on her side. She has mud covering it up. And afterwards, she doesn't. That's it. This is a separate diecast for that, and they made it a super chase. I didn't even notice that she no longer had the mud covering up her Rust-eze logo. I don't even think I noticed there was mud covering up her Rust-eze logo in the movie. I wouldn't have even noticed this if it weren't for these diecasts. This caused a lot of confusion when it first came out because nobody knew what the difference was between this Cruz and Francis Beltline Cruz. I think I like how this one looks more than Francis Beltline. I like the mud covering up that logo. But, like, this is another one that's just, like, I don't know, as a super chase, it's so minor, and it's something I didn't even notice. Was it nice of them to make it? Yeah, I guess so. But I wouldn't have even noticed if that happened in the movie if it weren't for this diecast existing. This one's gonna be hard to rank. I think it looks fine. It's just kind of pointless. I'm gonna go B tier. I think it looks. I like how it looks, but like the fact that it's a super chase is weird. I don't really know what to say for it, but it's a perfectly fine looking car. You know who's not? 2020 Holly. Enough said. Mini, on the other hand. No, I'm just kidding. 2020 Holly is just them trying to fix Holly's color and failing at it so bad that they had to try once again when they re-released Holly a year and a half later in 2022 in that 5-pack, where she now has a much more accurate color. I think that's the best looking Holly we've gotten in terms of color. Probably not going to pick up that 5-pack, but it is a good looking Holly. This is not what Holly Shiftwell looks like, and it's ridiculous. Moving on. Minnie. I've made several jokes in the past about how Minnie does not have eyelids. The fact that Minnie does not have eyelids bothers me to no end. Something that also bothers me is Minnie's color being way too light of a purple. This is one I got comments about. This isn't one that I chose as like a personal pick of mine. But like Minnie looks kind of like weirdly creepy without the eyebrows. I don't know why she doesn't have eyebrows. I just don't get it. That's a pretty easy fix, We could just... Let's see. Let's fix a Minnie. There we go. Isn't that just so much better? Wow. Hire me, Mattel. That looks terrible. Minnie in the movie is a completely different shade of purple as well, I feel. Minnie's prototype image looks a lot closer to how she appears in the movie. She's not this bright of a purple, and yeah, it could be lighting, but I still feel this purple is way too light. But this is another one I can't be too harsh on. I'm going to put this one in A tier. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's perfectly passable. Next, McQueen with sign. Like I said earlier, I feel any variant is valid. Any character variant is perfectly valid. This McQueen has a sign in front of him, like in the movie when he sneaks behind a Rust-eze sign, and I think he's a really cool diecast. Honestly, I quite like him. But one of the main problems is that he's not a new McQueen. This is just a regular old McQueen with a plastic sign accessory. But the same can be said for several characters. Cupcake McQueen is just a Rust-eze McQueen with an accessory on him. Mummy, Luigi, and Guido are just normal Luigi and Guido with accessories on them. Now, those go on top of them, so it's harder to tell, but honestly, there's not much of a difference there. The only difference is that this McQueen has something in front of him, so it's easier to tell that it's just a normal version of him that they put this sign in front of. Where this car ends up being bad, in my opinion, doesn't come down to the fact that it's a normal McQueen. I get why it's a normal McQueen. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, it would have been nice if he had a new expression, but they wouldn't do that. It's just a normal McQueen with this accessory, similar to, like I said, several other diecasts with accessories that fit onto them. This sign, somehow, some way, this sign is not the same sign McQueen has in the movie. I have no clue why, but the sign in the movie has a different picture of McQueen on it, and the fact that they couldn't get that to line up is so beyond stupid. I can't comprehend that. Even the artwork has the right sign for the movie. Why does this sign have a different picture of McQueen on it than the movie does? But look, even if that's weird and dumb, I can't hate this McQueen that much. I like the clip-on accessory. I think that's really cool. It works with any other McQueen that you have, which is nice. I'm sure it works with a lot of other cars. I don't think he deserves to be ranked that low. I may even put him in A tier. But, like, I hope you understand my arguments for this one. The fact that the sign doesn't have... The fact that the sign isn't different is really stupid. But I think it's a cool accessory. Bugmouth McQueen is a car I do not like. I'm just gonna say it. I'm disappointed every time we see him being re-released. He's one of my least favorite McQueens ever. He's such a minor change. I remember when I was a little kid, I kept all of my cars in a bin. And I only had one regular McQueen. I would always be looking for the regular McQueen, and when I finally found him, nope, you pulled out Bugmouth McQueen. Oh boy! Wow! Cool! There are bugs in his teeth! Now, like I said earlier, I think every variant is valid. I think this is a perfectly valid variant to make. It's easily the most boring of any of the ones from the Nature Drive. There are a lot of better variants of McQueen from that scene. Muddy McQueen and the Nature Drive McQueen are both great variants of the character. Muddy McQueen is in, like, my top 5 favorite McQueen diecasts, thank you. One day I hope to get him. Once I win the lottery, have you seen how expensive that car is? But Bugmouth McQueen is another case of, if he were made today, I think he would look better. If he were made for the first time. Because I think then they'd know to change his expression. Being such an early McQueen, they just gave him the same old face, and I think that's one of the main reasons as to why people don't like him. Kurt with bugs from 2020 is a great looking car. Now, granted he has a lot more bugs on him, but that's more accurate to his scene, wherein he has the bugs on him. He has a different expression, accurate to how he looks in the movie, compared to the normal Kurt. This McQueen should have had that. They even went out of their way to mold a smile mouth onto Kurt, which the normal variant didn't have, which none of the Racing Center trainees have. At least not of that mold, I don't think. They went out of their way to make that one look better. Bugmouth McQueen should have had an expression closer to in the movie, maybe looking off to the side. An expression closer to like what Road Repair McQueen has, I think would have worked for this guy. Something closer to that, to what he looks like when he's smiling at Sally. But nope, instead, we have this. He's going to go in E tier. NASCAR Jackson Storm. This guy, I don't feel this image is really doing him justice. It's not really spot on. This is the prototype image of NASCAR Jackson. But it's close enough. I feel like the NASCAR series has been a little more hit or miss than I was hoping. A lot of the cars look really, really great. And what I love about it is how they've transformed all these characters and they've given them incredible new designs. Jackson, on the other hand, highlights a problem with most Jackson Storm variants. They're all too samey, in my opinion. All of the expanded universe Jacksons just look basically the same. They really don't take risks with the Jackson designs like they do with McQueen or literally every other car in the NASCAR series. This Jackson should have been a different color. He should have had more to him. I love the blue going on the back. It would have been nice to have some more blue on him. Maybe the whole back is blue. But no. Just a little bit of blue on him. The Igniter logo, I think, really just doesn't look good on this car. I think it blends into the rest of the car too much. There's barely a difference between the color for the Igniter logo and the S. They should have done more to make him look different than normal Jackson. I think Jackson is a pretty difficult car to give new, different looks to, but I think if they tried, they could really make him look great. This one is just kind of boring, in my opinion, compared to the rest of the NASCAR series. I think he's really just, unfortunately, not all that good looking. They really should have done more with him. Props, though, for giving him the Piston Cup champion logo. I really respect that, that they did that for this. As far as this car goes, I can't rank him too poorly. He's a perfectly fine-looking car. He'll go in B tier. Original color changer Snot Rod. The only color changer on the list. The only car that's not metal on the list. Original color changer Snot Rod is easily, in my opinion, the worst color changer. You know why? He changes from orange to lighter orange. You know, sometimes on the prototype images, like this one here, sometimes they look quite a bit different than the actual color changer. So I looked into it, and yeah, the actual real product is literally, it's exactly the same. He changes from lighter orange to darker orange. There's about, you could barely tell a difference in color, and that is accurate to him if you actually have him in hand. The new 2021 color changer Snot Rod is really cool. He changes from white to orange. But this one changes from orange to orange. There are some color changers that change from a lighter color to a darker shade of the same color. Snot Rod is barely different. At least those ones, there's usually quite a bit of a change from the lighter to the darker color. Snot Rod here, really, what were you guys thinking? There's another color changer that I'm really not a fan of, which is the Paul Conrev one, but, I mean, he didn't make the list, clearly. Up next, our third and final Super Chase, Ciao Francesco here, is another one who people just don't like because he's a Super Chase, you know? He's just not worthy of being a Super Chase in the opinion of most. And I get that. I completely understand that. He was like the Duct Tape Mater before Duct Tape Mater, but I think he's a little more different than Duct Tape Mater, and at least he comes with an accessory. Francesco with the Chow McQueen on his back, shouldn't that technically be on all variants of Francesco? Is that on him, on his back in the entire movie? Shouldn't that be on normal Francesco? Is this variant, like, shouldn't that just be normal Francesco? Whatever. He has a different expression, which I think looks really nice. He has an accessory, but this accessory is not a good accessory because it's not accurate to the movie. In the movie, Francesco has a martini glass, and it was censored out here to be an all-in-all can. Strange, because a Guido released a year prior came with 3 martini glasses. Also, their cars, why are you concerned? Why are you censoring alcohol when they're not drinking it? It's not alcohol, they're cars, they don't drink that. They drink, like, fuel, whatever. It's just the glass was censored and replaced with an all-in-all can. Despite, again, a Guido from the year prior, including 3 martini glasses. This is one that I think is perfectly fine. I think he could go in A tier just fine. I think he looks good, honestly. Honestly, you know what? Maybe he deserves an S tier. You know what? I think he's a good-looking Francesco. I think he's one of the best-looking ones here. I like the face. The Chow McQueen on the back looks good. It's just the fact that he's a Super Chase is why people don't like him. Rocket Racing Barry DePedal. The Rocket Racers, again, picture here is from the World of Cars French forum because the only other images I could find of Barry online were the prototype pictures, which don't highlight my main issue, which is the eyes on Barry are way too small and they look really weird, just like the normal Thailand Barry, which is a shame because the original made in China Barry from the Next Gen 4-pack, which is the one I have from that original 4-pack, I think that one looks good, but the Thailand re-release just looks off. I could do a whole other tier list on Thailand variants, but I'm not that type of person. The Thailand variants really don't bother me. But the Rocket Racers, I knew I had to include a Rocket Racer here. They were such a unfortunate looking series, in my opinion, and I'm very glad they're over. I think a lot of the releases in the Rocket Racers look pretty good, especially that last wave, which unfortunately I don't think ever hit the US. They've definitely grown on me over the years, but Rocket Racer Barry is just not a good-looking car. The Rocket Racers removed the spoilers. They look pretty dumb. Again, they've definitely grown on me. But when I first saw them, they were hideous. Okay, and their artwork really did not help. Barry, I think, is the worst looking one of them. Steve Slick LePage, I don't think looks too good. I'm Barry's gonna go in E tier. Okay. If I were to rank the other Rocket Racers as well, most of them would not be much higher than him. Lightning Storm McQueen is another one I didn't see anybody talk about, but he's one I know a lot of people don't like due to the inaccuracies with him. He's not accurate. He should have another rocket up top. He should have a different spoiler, much like Holly with wings. Ironic. He has all these missiles underneath, but there should be one up top. There's a Comic-Con exclusive version of him that's metallic and has the accurate top missile, but even that didn't fix the spoiler. I don't know where he should go. He doesn't really bother me as much as Holly with wings, but I think it's fair to put them on the same tier. There we go. Crew Chief Mater from the NASCAR line. The guy... Here's the thing with Crew Chief Mater. This car, in my opinion, looks like a knockoff. It looks like a custom. Okay? I don't know whose idea it was to make a Mater in his typical rusty mold with the exposed engine and all that, painted in one flat color. This Mater, I don't think I'd have any issue with this Mater if he were a repaint of brand new Mater instead. But having the rusty, regular old Mater painted in one color, just in this red, really just did not make him look good in my opinion. He should have been a brand new Mater. I feel like the headset looks kind of cheap. The color scheme looks kind of cheap. Something about him just looks not right to me. And I don't believe the Usual Cars team designed the NASCAR guys. I think different people did because it's like a crossover series and all that. But this Mater is just... I think I'll go in C tier. Mine has a really hideous mouth plate also, which does not help it. Can you see that on this picture here? You can't, but mine has probably the worst mouth plate I've seen on any car, where the red just does not line up at all. I get what they were going for, but I just don't think it works. And finally, Hot Rod Steve Herschel. You knew I had to put him last. I don't know what to say about this car. I could go on for days, months, weeks. I've gone on for like 3 years now about how strange this car is. Especially when he finally came out last year. Why does this car exist? He wasn't in the movie. Why does he exist? Blah, 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 blah. I've beaten that dead horse so much, guys, that I am sick of talking about it. I haven't spoken about this car in errors and inconsistencies for a reason. That's because I'm sick of talking about how weird Hot Rod Steve Herschel is, okay? Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. Hot Rod Steve as a release doesn't make sense canonically and all that, but, you know, that's a problem on its own. That's one reason for why he's a bad car in the first place. The reason, why does he exist, you know? But when he came out, he didn't even look all that good. I know a lot of people don't like Hot Rod River Scott because the flames blend in with his paint too much. And I think the same is true for Steve. The flames are barely defined. They're basically outlines of flames. They're not even painted in like they are on the rest of the Hot Rod cars. They're not even defined or painted in any way, and you can barely tell the difference between normal Steve and Hot Rod Steve. Now, I love the normal Steve Herschel, sorry. I love the normal Steve Herschel. Absolutely love that diecast. But Hot Rod Steve, I know I make a lot of jokes about him here, and those jokes come from a place of confusion, but I think at the end of the day, he is a bad diecast. In all honesty, he's just not a good looking one. Is E tier too cruel? I don't know. I'll go D for him, because, like, he's not that bad, but, you know, he really isn't all that good. And there you have it, guys. This is my probably very controversial worst Cars diecasts ever tier list. At the bottom here in F tier, to recap, we have the original Ponchi, original Sally, and 2020 Thailand Holly. In E tier, Carla with Flames, Bugmouth McQueen. The original Color Changer Snot Rod and Rocket Racer Barry. D tier has Holly with Wings, Jodon Jackson, Lightning Storm McQueen, and Hot Rod Steve Herschel. C tier, You know, I'd say these are ones that I would actually consider bad. And then C tier, these are the ones that they're just like mediocre, you know? We have the Sandy, Rusty's Racing Center McQueen and Cruz, Tara McQueen, Chief RPM, Small Fred, and Crew Chief Mater. B tier, these are the ones where I think, you know, they're perfectly passable. They're perfectly fine. I don't really have much of a problem with them. I just don't think they're that good. Or other people didn't think they were that good in the case of several of these. Trainer Cruz, Marty Holler, Dirt Track McQueen, Dirt Track Francis Beltline, or Crazy 8 Francis Beltline, NASCAR Jackson. In A tier, Mater with Duct Tape, Mini, and McQueen with Sign. Ones that I really just don't have a problem with. And in S tier, Mater with Lightning Bolt Hat, and Ciao Francesco. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching this very long video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know where you would place these cars in the comments, or who you think are the worst cars and the best cars. Let me know what you thought of my list. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.